Hello, this is Greg Marchant here to talk to you about grades and grading. There are basically three functions to grades. The first one is as a record-keeping function that you keep records and record information on students. Allows you to average performance indicators such as homework, tests, and so forth. Combine those in whatever way that you see fit in order to assign sometimes a letter grade. Their record-keeping system for the school, who may want to know what is the average grade, what kind of information are students getting about their performance, how is the teacher evaluating students when it comes to their relative performance, hopefully on standards. And the second function of grades is to serve as a feedback mechanism. You want to provide feedback to students primarily about how they're performing. How well are they doing? Specifically related to standards as much as possible. You're saying you have mastered or you need to work on this particular standard. What grades really should not be conveying are opinions about their attitude, feelings about the students, that sort of thing. It should be pretty much limited to what the standards are and how well they're performing on those standards. Now, here's an example when my daughter was in third grade. She had a math worksheet, and on this math worksheet, if the answer that she got for the equation was an odd number, she was supposed to use an orange pencil to write the answer, and if the answer was an even number, she was supposed to write the answer with a blue pencil. When she finished the worksheet, she realized for that whole section she'd messed up. She had done it just the opposite. So what she did is she went up to the top where it said blue and orange, and she drew a little arrow going on both ways, going that blue should be orange, orange should be blue, rather than trying to write those all over again. She turned the worksheet in, got it back the next day, graded with a D minus, because all of those were marked wrong, that she had in the wrong colors. And so I wrote on the paper, I said, is this going in her math grade, or is this going to be included in her following directions grade? Got the paper back with a C+, so I don't know exactly what the answer to that was. But that's the thing. What is being recorded needs to reflect the student's ability, their achievement, their performance, and not really anything else. The point of all that was, not the cat, the example before, is that sometimes things are combined into grades that don't need to be. Now, elementary teachers, they give different grades for every subject. So on a particular paper or assignment, they can choose to record this is the information the student conveyed concerning this mastery of a standard in social studies, and they can also include a grade that would go into the grade book concerning writing ability, grammar, spelling, whatever. Now, most secondary teachers can do the same thing. If you're a social studies teacher and you have an assignment, and part of that assignment you believe should be looking at the performance related to grammar and spelling or organization or other issues, you can still assign a grade that here's how much what they did to meet the standard concerning the content, and then here's the grade for how they did concerning the English and so forth, and then decide how you want to balance those. But at least then you have a record of both of those things, and would suggest that probably if your focus is social studies, the emphasis should be on social studies content, but that's neither here nor there. When we're talking about conveying information, either in terms of feedback or just recording information, for any grade you have to have a comparison. In other words, it has to be compared to something. It's like any score on a test is a 75 good. is a 43 good. Um, well, and we talk about criterion versus norm reference. Criterion reference test is where, or standards reference test is where the performance of each student is compared to a standard, um, a guideline, a cut score, a grading scale. In other words, you want the students to get 80%, and so that's what's going to be acceptable, or whatever. Norm referenced evaluations when you compare students with each other. Most of the time, you don't want to do that. Um, Parents are interested in how their kids compare to other students. That's why we'll always have standardized testing. Um, but for the most part, when you're teaching your class, you want to focus on, here's what the standard is. Do they meet the standard? Here's what I'm expecting in terms of their being able to do this. Do they do that? Now, the third function of grading is motivation. And motivation is tricky because you really don't want the kids to be motivated by the grade. You want them to be wanting to do their best. We call this having a mastery orientation. They want to master the material. They want to do a good job on this project, or whatever the assignment might be. Now, the danger of thinking of grades as motivators and trying to use those on students is not every student is able, and especially young students and even some older students don't know the difference between ability and effort. So you end up having a kid that, if you repeatedly are giving them an F because you want to motivate them, well, actually what you're doing is punishing their effort. Teachers need to teach kids what effort looks like, how to put forth effort. That's part of the job, and that's part of the job at every grade level. Sometimes kids at the secondary level, they don't know what is it they're supposed to do, or by that point they believe they can't do it. We also need to be clear that letter grades are categorizations of students. It doesn't matter whether you're using A, B, C, D, F, or whether you're using ESLU or plus, check, minus, minus. They put kids in categories. And that is a very dangerous thing to do, especially at the elementary level. When kids are, like I said, they don't know the difference between ability and effort. And so they find themselves being labeled as an F student, a D student, the kid who's not on the honor roll. This has led me to say that there really shouldn't be anything that looks like letter grades, especially at the primary level. And also anyone who has an honor roll at the elementary level that's educational malpractice in my book. But enough on that. One of the things that they've started looking at in terms of achievement and grades is now growth, and the whole idea of improvement. And starting in Colorado and currently in Indiana and other states, they have growth models where they're looking at evaluating student achievement and, of course, evaluating teachers based upon student growth. Does the kid grow academically 1 year during a 1-year period? Or is it something less than that? And to that end, they attribute that to sometimes to the teacher. But what you're going to have coming up here next is some information on the Indiana growth model. You don't need to listen to the whole video, just maybe like the first 14 minutes. And what you'll have an opportunity to do is to look at the growth of your students using that pre-test and then following it up a couple weeks later now with the post-test. And I'll even have you graph that out the same way that they have developed graphs to show the achievement of students. So that's what's coming up next.